started. All right, so I'm here with Drana. Drana has been working with me for 6 weeks now.
Yeah.
And before joining the program, Drana actually lost and kept it off 50 pounds using macros, using MyFitnessPal, and she's not in fitness. So she's got a really good handle of how to do things successfully while still maintaining her lifestyle, family life, professional life. I'm sure it wasn't easy, right, Drana?
No, I mean, at times I think that I just hit a sweet spot. When I first started, it was right when, or not, it was 3 months into COVID. And so I thought that it was a good time to do that because we weren't traveling, my friends, we weren't going out to dinner as much, like all of that stuff was happening. And so I just thought, my kids were out of school. I just thought, this is like, when are we ever going to have another pause in our life to where I could really concentrate? And because, I had lost weight in the past, 10 pounds here, 10 pounds there, but I could never consistently stick with it. And I think it was because I was getting disrupted in life. We would take a vacation and then I would never hop back on the wagon, and so in order to lose 50 pounds, you have to be consistent for a lot of days, in a row. And so,
and that's a really important point that you mentioned there. You have to be consistent for a very long time. You didn't say that you have to be perfect. You didn't say that you have to eat as little as you can possibly can. You didn't say that you have to go on a crazy diet. You said the magic word. You have to be consistent for a very long time. So I absolutely love that. And did you have that mentality when you started, or you learned that over time?
I think that when I first started, I was excited, and so I wanted to, I'm a person that I like, I go hard. And so I was all in, and so, I pretty much lived perfect days for, several days, but as you're, 180 days into it, you start to realize I cannot eat perfectly every day. And so, that to me was when, if you're truly doing this for a lifetime, you're going to have to incorporate the foods that you love, and make them work for you. So I think that is, important, and something that I think that, I probably could have done a better job of in the beginning was just realizing that I don't, at the end of this, sure, I maintained my 50-pound weight loss, but I'm not going to get a trophy for being the person that ate the cleanest the whole time, So now I look at it more as, every day it's important to me personally that I get my fiber in and that I get my protein in, and then I have these others, amount of calories or whatever. And if I want to have some M&Ms, or if I want to have a ice cream treat or whatever, then I have it, and so I think that is helpful to be able to do it for a very long time.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And you mentioned something that's important. As long as you have your protein, your fiber, the rest of your calories can fall whatever they may. And that's so true. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to stick to a low carb diet or low fat diet, or you don't have to hit all 3 macros perfectly all the time, as long as you're hitting your main things. However, that comes with a price, and the price that you pay for that is being very diligent with your tracking, right? If you're not tracking and measuring and weighing and logging food, you're not going to be able to make those choices for yourself, because you don't know where you are. It's like a bank account that you never checked, so you never know what your balance is, right? Did you have a hard time in the beginning measuring, logging, using the app? Did you find it daunting in the beginning, or not really?
In the beginning, I basically, because to me, there is nothing worse when you go to the kitchen and you're starving and you don't know what to eat. And so you're just scrambling, and that's where you're going to make a mistake. And so when I first started, I just, had a day, or, that I had figured out on my Fitness Pal, like how I could hit my numbers. And I just lived that day over and over until I got better at it. And I realized, oh, I can switch this and I can incorporate this. So I did some slower changes. And one of the things that I think is key to doing this is eating a lot of the same. I think we're creatures of habit by nature anyway. I mean, my daughter, when she goes to the lunchroom table, you can sit anywhere at her table and they sit in the same place every day, And so for me, I know that I like a certain breakfast. And so I will have that breakfast every day for 6 months. And then I might say, you know what, I'm going to change it up and I'll have another kind of breakfast every day for 6 months.
That's
And
exactly like me.
yeah, I
Yeah.
think so. Having those things in place to where you don't have to go to the kitchen wondering what you're going to eat. Like, I know what I'm going to eat. I know how much protein that has. I know what I need to eat every day to hit my, but I should mention I am a most of the time vegetarian. And so it's harder for me to get some protein. So I know there's certain things that I'm going to eat cottage cheese. I'm going to eat yogurt. I'm going to eat dry roasted edamame. I'm going to eat these things every day because I know that it gets me to my protein number. And so I never go to the kitchen not knowing what I'm going to eat.
Yes,
That makes
this
sense.
is so important, so important. And I repeat myself over and over and over. If you wake up and you don't know what you're gonna have on that day, you started the day wrong. Like, you have to know what you're gonna eat.
Yeah.
If you want to take advantage, quote unquote, of that flexibility that tracking your macros has over just a strict meal plan, right? You have to create that meal plan for yourself. You have to have that structure for yourself and create that in a way that it's easy for you to follow. You don't have to think too much, and you go to the kitchen and you know what you're going to have for each of the meals. And for some people that can't do what we do, which is like pretty much eating the same stuff over and over and never getting bored of it, I would challenge that it's mostly in their mind. Sometimes we just think, oh, I need variety. When in reality, we don't. It's just that you haven't learned how to prepare the food the way you enjoy eating every day. I eat the same things, almost the same things every day. And I kind of crave those things because they taste good. I make them taste good and I make them fit my macros. But also, if you want to have that flexibility still, create 2 or 3 options for breakfast that are always going to hit your targets and you also enjoy. So when you don't want to have an oatmeal, a protein oatmeal, you can have eggs and whatever. So that way you always have an option for the days that you want to swap things out. And what
I think too, from coming from a mental place, you can wear yourself out mentally by making yourself have to recalculate and drain, not knowing what to. So I think that if you can keep it as simple as possible, that is so key. Don't give yourself decision fatigue on what you're going to eat. Like, just it's hard enough to live life. Let's make it as easy as possible.
I know. Oh my gosh, this is exactly what I say all the time. Simplicity is key. There's even a saying in business that applies to fitness: simplicity scales, complexity fails. And it is true. Like, if you're trying to make different recipes every single day, every single time with 17 ingredients, and like, you're not going to be able to sustain it because life is just busy as it is. And you have so many decisions to make in a day. And if you have to decide every day, every meal, what you're going to have, that's just going to drain you out. Right. So yes, I'm really glad that you're mentioning that, because simplicity is really key. And it doesn't mean boring. Sometimes boring is just the perception that you're having from it. Like, you can swap all your veggies, you can swap the way you prepare things, and still eat the same things and still taste good and enjoy it. But also give your body time to adapt. Because for someone, like, if someone is coming from a background that they're eating randomly during the day, not eating enough protein, like doesn't have any structure. In the beginning, it'll be hard to kind of create that initial structure and stick to it. It will sound a little bit boring, but if you give a little bit of time, your body starts to feel better and feel more nourished, and you feel better too. And it just, like you said, we're creatures of habit. It just becomes so natural that you don't even know how it is to not follow that structure. And
it just cuts down too on, your grocery planning. Like that's easier if you know what you're gonna be buying. And another thing, that I think is just a super easy thing to do is to make soups, or to make or to have a salad. That's something that is super easy. And like you're saying, you can change that up by changing the dressing, or changing, what you put on the toppings. You can have different soups each week, but you always have something ready to go that,
yeah.
That you can go to quickly.
Yeah. I'm very, very simplistic when it comes to that, but like I don't have kids yet. I work from home, so I make it simple to my reality. What I do twice or 3 times a week, mostly twice a week, I'll batch cook my proteins. So I'll have fish, I'll have chicken, I'll have beef, ready to go in the fridge. So when I have to eat, they're there. I just choose them and they're ready. I'll batch cook my carbohydrates, and I'll batch cook my veggies. So that side of things is taken care of. Then I'll have a bunch of Greek yogurt, a bunch of egg whites, a bunch of eggs, a bunch of other protein sources, and boom, like it's that simple for me. Do you find that like having that initial structure with like your grocery shopping, your planning, and adapting how you meal plan to your reality is also part of how you got so successful at it?
Yeah, I mean, I think every weekend for me on Sundays, I look at, my week, what we have that week, when is it going to be a good time for me to cook? Is it Sunday? Is it, whenever it is, or how
So you
much
don't
ever.
have one set day. You kind of schedule. You take like 30 minutes per week, and you kind of look through your week ahead, and then you can schedule things out.
Yes. So I look at like, when am I going to do my weight workouts? When am I going to when am I going to hit my step? I try to like put all of that into the blocks of my week. I'm a person, I prefer to walk outside. So I'm also going to look at the weather report. What days, is it going to rain, to where that I might have to do some indoor steps, just like, everything to get it. And what are the potential roadblocks? What do my kids have scheduling wise? What day is going to be the best day for me to take the rest day? All of that kind of stuff, I think, goes into the weekend planning of being successful. It's not just, the food, it's also your schedule. And kind of every day I think to myself, what can I do today that's going to make tomorrow easier for me? Is it, preparing my clothing that I'm wearing tomorrow? Is it, making whatever? Is it all of that stuff?
Yes, 100%. And I always recommend to you, I don't know if you do that, but using your phone calendar for that, or Google Calendar for that, so you can have like a visual of how the week is going to be, like in each of the tasks that you need to do, even the time that you're doing that you're not doing anything, or the time that you want to take off with your family, watch TV, whatever the things you want to do, you just schedule them ahead of time on your calendar on your phone, so it's there and it's blocked off for everybody else. So I really find that helpful too, like schedule your grocery shopping, schedule your meal planning, schedule your meal prepping, schedule the time that you're going to pre-log your foods in MyFitnessPal, schedule the time that you're going to go do your workouts. How long does it take for you to get there? What's your commute time looking like? How's the weather going to look like? How can you plan if the weather is not going to be favorable for you walking outside. How do you have a plan B? So I think that's really, really important. And what a lot of people don't see is that by doing that, you're actually saving yourself time and energy during the week, right? And like, especially like for you, Drana you have 2 kids, right?
Right.
How old are they?
They are 10 and 13.
10 and 13. So you're busy with them too, right? Like I'm sure they have lots of activities, lots of things to do. You as a family as well, like you with your husband. So there's lots of roles that you have to be able to do. It's not only fitness, right?
Yeah.
But the more organized you are, the more you can plan things ahead, the better you can be at each of those roles. Because then you can be 100% present when you with your husband, you're with your husband, right? Because you've already planned out your workouts. You already know what you're going to do there. Like it's not in the back of your mind, like, oh, I got to go work out at some point, right?
Right. Yeah.
So I absolutely love that. This is pretty much everything that I tell everybody to in order to be able to do that. And what do you think was your biggest challenge? Losing that weight, keeping it off, like in your journey so far, what do you think has been the biggest challenge for you?
I think I guess the biggest challenge, or the thing that I'm still not totally great at, is vacationing and coming. I am 100% when I am at home. I am not always, on vacation. I think I kind of go on vacation brain mode, and so I think that is still something that I'm working on to get better. So for me, it is that, or just being social calendars or whatever, being out with others, just preparing in advance for that, making sure that I have banked enough calories or whatever for the restaurant. I always, when it's available, I do pull up a menu, ahead of time and decide what I'm going to order, that kind of stuff. So I think just any kind of change to your regular schedule is what is,
kind of
most
throws you
difficult.
off.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's super normal. And that's the challenge that most people have. And especially type A, super organized, that thrive off routine and structure.
Right. Yeah.
We have a hard time just like being out of our element. So I totally understand that. But one thing that is going to help you is one, putting yourself out there more in those environments. So don't avoid it, like going out, or don't avoid vacationing or anything. Like the more you do it, the more the better you're going to get at it. And the second thing to think about is just the perspective, how that will really impact your results in the grand scheme of things. Because if you think about it, the year has 52 weeks, right? And let's say that how many weeks of vacation do you take a year usually?
Maybe 2 to 3.
2 to 3. Let's say 3.
Okay, 3.
3 weeks of vacation per year, 52 weeks, that 0.05% of the year.
Yeah.
Right. So of course, like you can't go crazy and eat for a family of 15 people on those 3 weeks, but like within reason, if you're there vacationing and having fun and enjoying the time and being present with your family and exploring the place that you are, and choosing consciously to not track your food, but to make the best choices possible and to enjoy yourself, those 3 weeks represent such a small percentage of the whole entire year. Because even if you don't do anything on those 3 weeks, you have full control over the remaining 49 weeks.
Right.
The end goal, the end results that you're after are going to come from those 49 weeks that you're on point, not
Yeah.
49 weeks that you're not.
One of my favorite quotes is like, it matters more what we do most of the time than we do some of the time, or something similar to that. Yeah.
Exactly. And it's okay to turn on that vacation brain on vacation,
Right.
again, within reason, right? Just knowing that just because you're not logging, or just because you're not tracking, or just because you're not being very accurate, that doesn't mean that you're not good. That doesn't mean that you're not on track, right? And that's something that I have a lot of conversations with clients about this, because like I went on vacation after, I don't know, 3 years without flying anywhere, this July to Europe, and I enjoyed everything. I didn't track anything. I didn't even lifted weights for 2 weeks, and that did not impact my body shape at all, because on the remaining 50 weeks, I'm so consistent, right? And that's what matters most. And if you're doing the right things on the remaining 50 weeks, on the remaining 49 weeks, and you're hitting your protein, your fiber, your calories, your weightlifting, you're spending time outside of a calorie deficit most of the year, that's going to make your vacation time way easier. Because even if you got some water retention or something like that, you're going to go back and just lose that water weight in 2 days, because it's literally it's just water retention sometimes. And you're going to it's not going to affect your results unless you're going crazy, especially with alcohol and stuff like that, or unless you're coming out of a very steep calorie deficit. Because then when you go from a very end of a calorie deficit, a very end of a fat loss phase, and your calories are very low, and then all of a sudden you go crazy, then that can potentially derail a little bit of your progress, because your body is just now primed to accumulate more body fat. So that is normal to occur. But in a normal day-to-day, let's say you're under maintenance, let's say you reverse dieted, let's say that you're living your life and you go on vacation, that should not derail your progress. And keeping that in mind also helps you to deal with it in a much more smooth way, especially mentally, right? Because physically you might not see a huge difference, but mentally, I think it's also important to feel that you are in control of things, right? And you go on vacation choosing to make those types of choices, and to, okay, I am on track on my vacation. I'm choosing to not track, but I still am on track, because this is there's no on and off button. This is part of my life. Go to vacation with that mentality. It changes your perception of things. And then the same things when you're eating out with friends. Just make a quick calculation, like how many meals you have in a day, how many days you have in a month, and how many meals you're eating out. How many of those meals you don't have full control over. Because I'm sure, being who you are, you're still making the best choices possible, even when you can't track perfectly, right? So even but you don't have full control over, and that's okay. But how many meals are those? 4 meals out of 120 in a month, maybe, or even less than that, right? I don't know about you, but I don't see my friends that often, which is a shame. But I don't go out every single weekend to eat with them. And when it's with my husband, it's a little bit easier to choose ahead of time, and we know what we're going to eat and stuff like that. But just, putting that perspective can change a little bit how you deal with it, because you're not going to have full control 100% of the time. That's not required in order to be successful at it, in order to have good results. That's not required. If you are 80-90% consistent with the things that you do, like you said in the beginning, to lose weight, you didn't have to be perfect. You were consistent. Same thing in life. Like you're not going to optimize your muscle building because you're, skipping eating out with friends today because you don't know how to log it perfectly. If you're
Mhm.
still conscious of what you're eating and if you're still leaving enough room and somewhat planning ahead, you're good,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And I think that as I've, years into this, I've kind of gotten away from labeling things good or bad, like as a clean food or unclean or bad. Like it's all just food, And
Yeah.
so I think the labeling though, and like, feeling like you're, you
Cheating.
had a good day, a bad day, a cheat day, like all of that stuff, I think can mess with your head a little bit. And, this is a middle game as much as it is anything, and so I think always surrounding yourself, whether it's on Instagram, whether it's here with you, whether it's on a podcast, whatever, like just continually learning more and increasing your knowledge, I think just helps it to it helps you mentally to continue to go. It doesn't, things don't seem as hard. Also, like, maybe you're the only person in your circle that is caring about this. And so if you're surrounding yourself, even if it's online, by people that also care, then you don't feel alone. You feel like it is part of your community that is still interested in this and not just you out here on your own little lonely island.
Yes, 100%. Because the things that we judge as normal, we judge as normal because it's a common sense amongst our circle of influence, right?
Right.
So it has to be a normal thing to do what we're doing. Otherwise, you're going to feel very lonely. So that is an important thing that you mentioned. Surrounding yourself somehow, even online. Everything is online nowadays. So like you're going to be listening to someone, you're going to be watching or following someone anyways. You might as well just take that time, that opportunity to surround yourself with people that are aligned with your goals, aligned like in the same vibe, in the same tribe.
Mhm.
So what you're doing feels a little more normal and you can relate a little bit better. You can I felt this when I started coaching, actually, because I was the only fitness coach working for myself in my circle of friends. They were like, are you crazy? You're leaving a very good, well-paid job
Yeah.
to like do your thing. I don't even know what to do. And even in fitness, I was always the only fit person in my circle of friends. So I had to learn how to deal with that over time. And when I joined a fitness business mastermind where they help us just build and structure the business sides of things, I felt like, okay, I'm more normal now. They can
Yeah.
understand me. They get me. Like they go through the same struggles. I'm not alone. I'm not
Right.
the only one who deals with this kind of problem. I'm not the only one who do this. I'm not, you know what I mean? And
Right. Mhm.
now they became such an important piece of my environment, I want to say, that it's even hard to talk to people outside of the bubble because they
Right.
don't get it. They don't get the same struggles. And what I do now feels a lot more normal than before, than if I had not surrounded myself with like-minded people. So yeah, that's such an important piece because I do have a lot of clients who are the only ones, making those changes for themselves and having to deal with, maybe unsupportive spouses or friends, and people love to make fun of people. People love to like, just, just give their opinion where they were not solicited.
Right.
So yeah, when you surround yourself with people that are going through the same journey, and you feel that sense of community, you can even have a little bit more confidence to stand up for yourself and to stick to the path that you believe is right for you, right?
Yeah, totally. And you just never know what you're gonna learn. Like, and even just seeing what other people eat, it gives you ideas of like, oh well, I could try that, and so I just yeah, I just really encourage everybody to follow fitness or follow food accounts, those kind of things. I mean, always it's super easy if you see something that looks appetizing and it, looks, you see the person make it and it was butter and cheese and all, you can usually Google very quickly like a skinny version of that. And
Yeah.
then, you can try to make it for yourself. So I think just keeping yourself inspired is important.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And have you always been like that, Drina, in the sense of looking for new ways of trying things, or you adapted it over time?
I think that by nature, I am improvement focused, so I like to have challenges. I like to betterment, all of that things. I like to learn more. Yeah. So I think that is just my natural tendency.
That's good. That's good, because it's definitely helpful when you're on a fitness journey to be curious about how things work and why, and how can you make this differently and better, right?
Mhm.
Um, have you ever thought about quitting when you were on your weight loss journey?
No, and I'll tell you why. I think that I came from a place of longevity focus. Like it has always instead of just, and not that I don't like the way I look now, like don't get me wrong, I do. But if I think because I came from wanting to figure out how I could take the best care of my body, then I know for me it will stick because I'm very concerned with the micronutrients of the food and the things that I eat every day. That has been a lot of my driving
Mhm.
force. And so I still eat, the same things, even when I'm in a cut or a maintenance or whatever, I'm just eating like a little bit smaller portion of it during a cut. So I think that for me, I don't ever have to fear anymore of this quit mentality because I know that my primary focus is I'm trying to make sure I live as long as I can, independently, healthy, not being a burden to my children, those kind of things. And so I think that I also think those that having that mentality makes it easier when I go to the kitchen. Like I don't feel so tempted to eat a donut followed by a bagel followed by a muffin followed by all of those things. Like I know that I'm going to try to eat some fruits and vegetables and that kind of stuff. So yeah, I don't ever feel in danger of quitting because my primary focus is just trying to make sure that I'm around for a long time.
And why is that?
um I think that I have a little bit of a fear of regret, like I don't want to, I don't want to like get cancer in my 40s and like think, oh, well, if I had just, you know, lived my life differently, if I had just moved more, if I had just, eaten better, taken care of my, stuff and those kind of things. And the good thing about having a health longevity focus is it both paths lead you to the same place, whether you're more appearance focused or you're more health focused, the end product is the same. You're still working on your body basically and getting it to be peak performance. So I think either way that you're looking at it is fine. I just know for me it helps me to not ever have to worry about not caring.
Wow, I love that. I love
Mhm.
that. And it is so true, because when you have a bigger why behind why you do things, it
Mhm.
holds you like on track to do the things that you need to do because you have a higher purpose.
Right.
So it totally makes sense. And I love that you mentioned like both things are valid. Either if you're doing this for the appearance or for longevity, both are valid. And it is true. But I think that initially a lot of people get in it for the appearance aspect, and then they realize that it is much more
Right.
than,
Yeah. Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
and then they realize that, whoa, it's about my health, right? And we're all in one, I believe. um if we're taking care of our bodies, we're also taking care of our internal state, and we're going to live better. And like, if we don't have this, we don't do anything else, right? We're not there for our kids or for our loved ones. So having that mentality and that thought process behind the choices that you make when you go to the kitchen, that's super powerful. That's super powerful. And that's powerful too, because you're teaching your kids that, right? They
Right.
see you doing that.
Mhm.
So yeah, I'd like to congratulate you for having that attitude and for teaching your kids that. I don't know if you guys have that conversation like formally, officially as a family, but I know that kids are the reflection of what we do, not necessarily what we say.
Right,
I guess that's very true.
yeah. I mean, anytime my children are telling me they're hungry or they're want something from the pantry, I that's my question to them. It's not that they can't have any of the snacky foods, because I still buy those, but I also ask them, what have you had fruits and vegetables today? And if they're only naming one, then guess what? They get to eat a fruit and vegetable before they get to have anything else,
I love it. I love it. And it's great that they see you doing this. It's not like you should eat your vegetable and mommy's here like with chocolate bar. They get to
Yeah.
see you eating those things, and they get to see you working out and
Right.
taking care of yourself. And that's an extremely powerful example for them. So that's really awesome. And I think that
And I think too,
yeah, go ahead.
I think that, especially when you're speaking to your children, or even if yourself, I mean, there's a lot of tricks that you can do on your own self that will help you. But instead of thinking of it as like, I'm not going to have X, Y, and Z, think of, what am I going to have? And I am going to have an apple. I am going to have a banana. And that feels less restrictive, less rule oriented. It feels like an add to instead of a subtract, if that makes sense. And so I think that is a good philosophy to have with your children, and also yourself, if you're
100%.
struggling, if you're feeling restricted or that kind of stuff.
100%. Because the fact of the matter, the fact of the matter is that on a fat loss phase, you can make like all the tricks and like you can use all the swaps you can't, it's going to be restrictive somehow, because you're cutting calories because you want to lose fat, right? So it's going to be restrictive in a way. You're going to feel a little hungrier. That's just the reality of it. You just have to deal with it, and the cravings will arise. And when you have that powerful internal dialogue and you're just replacing the language and how you speak to yourself, how you speak to your children, how you talk about things, that definitely changes the perception of things, and that changes your behavior as a reflection of that, right? Because what we do is a reflection of what we think internally. And thinking really is just a conversation that we have in our heads, right? So I love that idea of just, what am I having, right? Instead of what I'm not having. And another thing that I'd like to switch is the I can't mentality. Oh, I can't have that because I'm on a diet. I can't have that because I'm on a diet, because that limits you.
Right.
That gives the power to the external thing, right? I can't have that, is as if someone was just watching me and, oh, I'm not allowed to do that, right? When in reality, you're doing this because you chose to be on this path, on this journey. So instead of, I can't have that because I'm on a diet, I am choosing to have whatever instead, right?
Yeah. And I
Instead
think,
of
going into it with a big picture perspective, like, I'm not going to have that today.
right now.
I might have it tomorrow if it fits in my macros, or I might have it, in 2 weeks when this is over, or whatever, just,
Yeah.
I think
But
knowing
allowing yourself.
right. It's that nothing that, this state that you're in is temporary, I think is always a good thing to know.
Yeah, I agree. Instead of I can't have it, well, I can have it, but I choose to not have it right now. That's it.
Right.
I
Yeah.
choose to, right? It's a choice. It's like
Mhm.
if you're tight on a budget, you're not going to complain that you can't buy a Prada purse.
Right.
Not going to be a wise decision if you're
Yeah.
not like, if you don't have money to pay your rent, you're not going to buy designer purses and you can't complain about it. But you can't just whine, oh, I can't buy that purse. Well, you could, but you're choosing not to right now because money is tight. So you choose to buy it later or whatever.
Mhm.
And I think that viewing macros as like a financial budget is kind of fun and a good way of viewing things and
Mhm.
shifting that perspective too. Is there something else that you'd like to share about your journey and tracking macros and being on a fat loss and keeping the weight off?
Um, I think that I think there's lots of little tricks that you can do to help yourself, but I think that a lot of people or what I see a lot of moms with families and things is they want to eat whatever their family is eating at
Mhm.
dinner, or what they want to make the same
Good
thing and
point.
everybody eat the same thing.
Yeah.
And so I think that you can do that if your family is willing to eat what you're eating, but I also think you should just give yourself permission that you do not have to eat what they are eating, and you can still sit down at the table with them. You can help serve them, you can make it. When my children were toddlers, I got out of the habit of eating at the same time as them because I couldn't eat hot food. I was too busy helping them cut. I was too busy, serving and whatever. And so I just decided, I'm going to eat either before dinner or I'm going to eat after dinner, even when I was eating the same thing that they were, because it just is not relaxing for me. And so I
That's
bought
smart.
this, yeah, I bought this little book, and it was like this question of the day book. And so instead of me eating at the table, I asked them a question. It's like, what would you be if you could be anything or whatever? And so I have a pen and I write down their answers, and they love to like see what they answered it a year ago, and 2 years ago and 3 years. We've been doing this book for a long time.
Oh,
And
wow.
so, yeah, so anyway, just give yourself permission that, your kids do not care. Like that's not, part of bonding time or whatever is being together. They ask, if I ever sit down and I don't have the book, they're like, let's do the book, let's do the book. So they want to do that and they don't care if I'm eating. So give yourself permission that that does not have to be part of your life if you don't want it to be. So I think sometimes we just I don't know if it's because of how our moms did it or, all of that stuff. And you have so much is ingrained from us from the way that we were raised,
Yeah.
that just because it looked like this when you grew up does not mean that it has to be that way for your family. I mean, my children love that tradition of the book,
Mhm.
so who knew?
Love that. I love that because that's something that I haven't even thought about it, but I think I'm going to implement once I have my
Yeah,
kids.
yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
love that. That's so simple. And it definitely is going to help a lot of people too with family, because that's something that can derail some women. Oh, my husband doesn't eat the same things as me. So what? You
Yeah,
can eat different things, right?
right.
Oh, my husband bought me this and that. Do you
Mhm.
have to eat that right at that moment? Like, so you
Yeah.
can still make those choices. And one thing, just to wrap it up too, like that we sort of pointed out, is that fat loss is really temporary,
Mhm.
right? Like if you have more weight to lose, like yourself, like you had 50 pounds, it's going to take a little bit more time,
Mhm.
obviously. But still, the more consistent you are, the less time it takes. Imagine if you weren't so diligent about doing all the things that it did and implementing the changes, you would have probably still be dealing with uh all that weight gain and weight regain, and like you would have kept it off.
Right.
um So it is really worth it, in my opinion, to dedicate yourself to the process and do all the things that we talked about today here, and to kind of master that process and get out of it. Get in, lose the fat that you need to lose, get to your goal, put the blinders on, like forget about the noise, forget about what everybody else is doing or saying. Do your thing, focus on your goal and your process, and then get out of it. Because once you come out on the other side, you get to enjoy maintenance, which you also did, right?
Right.
Then you increase your calories, you eat more, then you can have a little bit more flexibility. But again, all the flexibility comes with the price of being a person who dedicates to the process, right? To planning ahead and to organizing and to making sure that you're hitting your main goals, your main targets daily. That way you can enjoy your flexibility. Other than that, it's going to be really, really hard to achieve your goals and have flexibility at the same time, right?
Right. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Awesome, Drana. I loved our conversation here. I felt like it could be a podcast or something.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing your a little bit of your journey, a little bit of what you know about your knowledge. And yeah, hope to talk to you soon. And is there anything else that you wanted to say?
No, I think we got it all. I don't know. As I was thinking of those tips, I was just, they were just popping in my head, so I'm glad that I actually took the time to write them all out and have them now for myself to even look at, anytime I'm feeling a little hungry or something, I can read my own advice.
Yeah, and I'm gonna share that Google Docs in WhatsApp so everybody can have it with your tips, because I think they were so worth it. And everything that you shared here, I think it's gonna help a lot of people. So thank you so much again, Drana.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Have a good one.
You too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.